Good afternoon and welcome to On the Spot Motorsports Media. I'm your host, Mitchell Gunter, right along with Robert Simpson. I'll tell you what, we're going to have a great show on tonight. We've got a great young lady that does a lot of wonderful things behind the scenes of oval track racing. And, I got the opportunity to meet her up at Concord at ZMAX at the Four Wide Nationals. Which was a really great thing for them to, get an experience of what Nitro was really like. It was really fun to watch them go out there on the wall as the cars, took off, and they felt the cars, moving down the track. So it was a great moment to talk with them there. And I talked to Taylor about coming on our podcast, and she said, sure, I would be more than willing to do that. So it's going to be a real great show with Taylor Kitchen. She is the host of Above the Yellow Line. So I would like you to write that down. So if you do like watching NASCAR or late models, super late models, majority of the time they were at the track and they were covering the event. But before we get into that, we've got a couple of commercials. So bear with us. We'll be right back after this.
Reliability to drive thousands of miles. Confidence for those who fly high. Redline oil products give you the power to crush the competition and a track record of being the best. Redline oil products. You push it to the limit, we'll protect it.
Ready to take your engine to the next level? Scorpion Racing Products delivers precision-engineered, high-performance rocker arms that dominate the track. 100% CNC machined in the USA with aerospace-grade aluminum for unmatched strength and durability. Our rocker arms handle extreme conditions with multiple ratios available to fit your needs. Backed by our exclusive lifetime warranty. When performance matters, choose Scorpion Racing Products. Proven, reliable, unstoppable.
Taylor, I want to thank you for joining the podcast tonight. I've been looking forward to this for quite some time, and it was really great meeting you up there in Concord as y'all got to experience what it was like to hear and feel Nitro cars rip it down the 1,000-foot mark.
Yeah, it's so great to be here. Thanks for having me. That was the craziest experience ever. So it was awesome to be there.
Welcome. I mean, talk about trial by fire. You're the Bellagio of drag strips at Charlotte, 4 wide, and then to be able to stand up on the starting line like you said, like you did with fuel cars. Not many people get an opportunity to go to a professional NHRA race to see Nitro cars, much less be that close to them. So I imagine it was exciting for you, especially the first time. Did anybody warn you? Did anybody kind of like prep you a little bit? It's like going, hey, hold your ears like this and just,
Yeah.
What?
So we were kind of prepped being like, oh, like get ready. Like your eyes are going to burn, your nose is going to burn. And I'm like, okay, sure. Yeah, fine. So we were in the media center and like the glass was shaking. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to stand next to these cars. Like that's going to be a thing that's happening. And so,
Yep.
Allie, who does such incredible work for NHRA and Nikki, were like, okay, time to go. AJ England, one of our good buddies too, who worked with John Force for quite some time, brought us out there. And he was like, you're going to stand here and I'll get a video of you just to see the experience. Good luck, have fun. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to, plug my ears and just like hope and pray this is fine. It was I can't describe it. It was like the coolest, scariest, most thrilling experience ever. And I think I stayed there for like the rest of like the practice and qualifying rounds that day. Cause it was just like, it was unreal. It was unreal. So it was cool.
Yep. Exactly. The first, we tell everybody that the first time they experience it and they're like going, oh, especially the ones like, oh yeah, nothing to it. Like going, okay, nothing to it. And everybody else who's willing to listen, we're like going, well, protect your ears. You know what I mean? Stuff like this. You're going to be hit by basically a sound wave, when it hits your body. I said, that's normal. And I says, so you're going to enjoy it and your vision might be slightly blurred for a second. And I said, that's normal. And, then they come back the first time and, they're crying to no end and all this stuff. I mean, just bloodshot eyes, And I'm like, what you think? And they're like, love it. And they're like going, try telling you. And they're like going, holy smokes, I'm never doing that. Or I'm not sitting there again. I'm going to sit somewhere. It's like experiencing a jet car for the first time. Same thing. So,
oh my goodness. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, it was a really great time up there. And like I said, getting to meet you and some of your crew that work with you. Y'all are all very, very well carried yourself as professionals throughout the whole event. And just y'all trying to learn what was going on was, I could see that y'all were really interested in it. But besides, just talking about drag racing, I want to kind of talk a little bit about you and your background, your education, and why did you want to get involved with a podcast talking about stuff that happens on the oval, even though if it may be NASCAR related or the pro late models, super late models, all the way down to the Legend Series?
Yeah, the podcast started off for me as like a need for connection. I had a chronic illness that was undiagnosed for a good period of time. I had to leave college because I was really sick and I couldn't go to classes. And yeah, it was crazy. I don't say I was bedridden because I wasn't confined to my bed because I couldn't do anything for like a year and a half, but I was more so bedbound where it was like I got up, I felt like I was going to pass out every time. Couldn't really eat. It was intense, and we had no clue what was going on. We were in and out of doctors, hospital, etc. No clue. 2020, I finally got a diagnosis called postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. A mouthful, but it's a disorder of my autonomic nervous system. And after
my wife and I can relate. I know exactly when you said tachycardia. Boom.
Yes,
my wife has POTS also.
Get out.
I'm not kidding.
Oh my gosh. It's more people have it than you think. It's not a disorder or that's really known a lot for people, but you talk to somebody and they know somebody who has it. And it's life-changing for sure. To some people, it can be like hugely life-altering. For some, they can get back on the right path, but there's no cure for it. There's just management for it.
You got to figure out the trigger. You got to have to try to. Yep.
You have to figure out what's causing it. It was a lot. And so for me, it was a lot of lifestyle changes. It was a lot of just getting on the right medication to manage my heart rate. And I'm still not 100%. Like, you're not going to be 100%, but I'm my new 100%. I guess for like a better word.
Right. I thought you were going to go to the racing thing. So my expression when you're like, when I had an uncurable thing, I thought it was the racing thing. Then you said that. I'm like, oh, sorry. I didn't mean that.
No, you're good. And that led into the podcast because I was trying to figure out, how do I kind of get my life back on track? How do I find purpose again? And my whole thing was I'd lost a lot of my community after leaving college. And so I did the podcast. My first listeners were my grandma, who got me into motorsports back in 2016, and my dad and my mom. And that was it to start. And then slowly but surely, because I was already like kind of talking with a lot of folks on like Twitter and stuff like that, like more and more people started listening. And I kept doing the show. I went from audio only to video, and it grew to where it is now and has given me some incredible opportunities and roped it into what I did in college. And now here we are. But the podcast started off with just a want for community, and then it's turned into a full-fledged career, which is insane.
That's great. I mean, it literally, I guess it started out as a necessity in a way, meaning a way to reach out. But clearly you have a desire for racing and a deep love for it. How did that start?
Yeah, what's so funny is growing up, all since I can remember, my grandma always had like NASCAR on the TV. And if we were over at her house during the weekend, it's like, you can't turn the channel over. Like, sorry, we got to watch the race. And I'm like, at the time, I could care less. I didn't care to watch racing. I didn't understand it. I didn't get the draw. And I don't know what changed in 2016, but it was one of the Texas night races for the Xfinity Series. I remember Kyle Busch won it. And it was something about that race that I finally sat down and watched from lap 1 to the final lap, where I was like, this is actually pretty neat. I grew up playing a ton of sports. I did fencing, tennis, soccer, competitive dance. Like I did a lot, but nothing was like racing to me. And so I got really intrigued by like the playoffs, the point system, the drivers, their background, like what goes into racing, how do the cars function, and just I really sunk my teeth into it, and I just kind of took it and ran with it. But it started kind of a love for the sport. And then as you learn more about the drivers and the people that make up the sport, it's such a family atmosphere. I feel like it's a large group, but it's a small group at the end of the day. And once you meet those people, like you feel like you're family for life with a lot of them. So once kind of getting attached that way, I was hooked.
Yeah, like for us, I used to be a big fan of drag racing, and certain drivers. Well, now I'm not a fan person anymore. Since we're doing this, it's love of labor to me to do what we're doing, being able to go to tracks, and you probably experience the same thing. That you want to know everybody. You want to know the function of all things. And like we have you on. We've had other people on that's had podcasts. We like to get in the minds of the crew chiefs, those who are driving, someone who's working on the bottom end of the car. And as far as NASCAR, there's a bunch of stories with each one of those teams. I mean, it could be the tire changer on the front or the tire changer on the back. Their backgrounds, a lot of them came up through playing college football and not making it to the pros. And some of them were played in the pros for a short period of time. And now they work on those teams. And it's a very athletic sport, not just for the driver, but everyone involved. And so you lose that fan type thing. I'm not an NHRA fan anymore. I'm a fan of the sport as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something kind of how you feel when you go to a NASCAR race?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that has been kind of bestowed upon me and that I try to kind of bestow upon others that want to take the media path is there is a point where you have to kind of cut off the fan side of you. But there's also a point for me, I didn't have to cut it off. It looked different. Exactly what you said is I became a fan of the sport as a whole. I want the sport to succeed. I want the drivers to succeed. There is no driver I dislike. No matter how many people try to ask me, do you have to dislike a driver? I don't. I like every driver. I respect every driver, their path, their goals. And as you do this more and more and you go to the track more and more, you learn to just say, you know what? I want the sport to do well. And that's me being a fan of it. Yeah, I have diecast behind me. Like I love collecting diecast, but each of them to me tell a story, not of a favorite driver, but of a moment, a track I was at, a race when I saw, something like that. So it shifts over time. But for me, it was natural. It was never a choice of having to be fan versus reporter. It just kind of was a gradual thing for me.
Yeah,
It makes sense.
I feel the same way for me, and I know Robert. He's starting to get in that. Robert's now been with me over a year, and he's probably feeling the same things, And Roberts comes from a very big side of sportsman racing.
Mm-hmm.
He's followed that for all of his life because he's been around it, and his father raced in it. And I'm more on the pro side of things. I follow on the pro side all the way down to pro mod and some of the alcohol classes. But
Right.
yeah, it's pretty much the same feeling.
Right.
And I'll tell you what, you've done a terrific job. You've had some really big name guests on your podcast, talking about some of the drivers of the Cup Series. So how many drivers of the Cup Series have you actually had on?
Oh gosh. My gosh. I'm trying to think. Between like the work I do with Racing America and with my platform, we've gotten to talk to so many drivers, whether it's at the track and the media bullpens, or whether it is like interviewing Kyle Petty about his charity ride. Like that for me was like a pinch me moment. Like that's crazy to me. But I think I've been able to talk to every single driver in the current Cup Series field. Which is pretty cool. And each one different experience with, I would say like one of the cool interviews I did last year was like with Ross Chastain after he won one of the races in the playoffs. And he was just stoked. And I'm like, I feel like getting to see these drivers more so behind the scenes and doing those interviews, you learn more about them as a person, who they are at their core. And it's so fun. But losing count of how many people we've interviewed. And we literally have interviews scheduled up until the end of September on our platform. A lot of them at the short track level. I think one of the goals with my platform is to really make it a platform for more people to utilize, and especially the drivers, be able to tell their stories, some of the stories that aren't told as much.
Right.
So I'm really excited about that, but just the amount at the cup level.
Yeah, and I'll agree with you, because there's only so much time
Mhm.
they can actually slot for a driver on either on Fox or CW or one of the other TV channels that is covering that race for that particular moment.
Mhm.
You actually get to dive in deeper with them and get to find out more about their family, how they came up through the ranks. All of those things are very important um, points in their life, and they need to be showcased,
Mhm.
because they may be a little kid somewhere sitting on the couch watching your podcast and say, "Hey, he had it rough. I'm having it rough. I can do that if I put my mind to it." It actually puts a lot of. I'm trying to look for the word, but a lot of emphasis in their head that they can become better if they fight for it.
Yeah, and I think when you're able to share those stories and the different perspectives, maybe it is from a driver that, you don't see a lot of on TV or something like that. Like, you learn something from them. You understand why they are the way they are, why their opportunities might be different from somebody else in their similar position. Um, and I think that can help a lot of us. And why for me, like, I'm so vocal about my chronic illness is because I'm like, I've forged a path in an untraditional way that's gotten me to the dream I want to chase. And so it's showing people that, like, regardless of where you're coming from, whether it's budget or whatever it is, like, you can learn from other people and learn how to chase your dream as well. So it is so important to share all stories, whether it is legend cars all the way up to cup.
Agreed. And that's something that Mitchell and I, uh, uh, we started expanding out from like day one to not only professional, but sport, like Mitchell said, the sportsman side of it, all the way down to local and everything in between. I mean, we've interviewed track operators and stuff, manufacturers, and like I said, stock eliminator racers, which is sportsman classes, and some people consider it one of the lower letter wise, not class, but if you know what I mean, but still have a tremendous following. And to learn about these people and learn about what they had to go through in order to get there. And it's like, as Mitchell and I both explained, it's like, look, that person that runs a sportsman class works a job, has a family. Okay, they had to swap shifts in order to come to this event. They had to do a lot of planning in order to come to this event. Family had to make sacrifices. I said the same thing as professionals. Professional racers have to do the same thing or similar. So it's getting to tell that story, and that's the. How you doing, Tim? Good to hear you, buddy. But it's things like that we enjoy sharing, and that's what I think that you bring to Above the Yellow Line, your podcast that you have, as far as, like you explained, you do not show that you like one particular driver, but you like the sport in its entirety and you want it to succeed. We feel the same way. We want the sport to succeed, and we want everybody involved with it to succeed. So I think the way that you're being an ambassador in that way is really a positive move, because
Thank you.
you hear a lot of things, a lot of people putting a dig on this or a dig on that, just to try to get a rise out of people. And it's refreshing to hear somebody delving into the person themselves. So that's a compliment to you.
So how many track events do you try to cover in a year? I mean, you're all over the place, because, like I said, you was at the ZMAX Cars Tour as well. You've been going to those races. You've done some legend stuff. So about how many tracks do you visit or events a year?
Typically, I think this is more so last year when I finally made the move to North Carolina, but I always try to go to the tracks that are closest to us. So, like, Darlington, Martinsville. I went to Richmond last year too, I think. Obviously, Charlotte. So getting to those tracks that are closest to me. The coolest thing with the NHRA event, like, that just kind of came out of nowhere. They started a content creators kind of program, and I was like, this is actually really neat. I wish more motorsports would do this. And they reached out, were like, hey, like, whatever event you want to go to, like, come on out, experience NHRA for the first time. So added that to my calendar. But a lot of it is just what's close enough to me, obviously, as we all know, budget wise, what can work. But a lot of it too is it might be spur of the moment, like going to the summer shootout at Charlotte Motor Speedway. I think this was like 2 weeks ago, like on a random Tuesday. I was like, this is like the first Tuesday I think I had off, like spur of the moment. I had a meeting scheduled for like that evening. And I was like, I'll just go to the Speedway. Why not? let's try it. So a lot of it is just what the time allows, but maybe like anywhere from like 6 to like 15 races a year right now that I'm at track for. Everything else I'm watching on my TV, my computer, other things like that.
Well, and like you said, you're in a pretty good location. You're not far from Caraway. You got Hickory. I mean, there's a bunch of small tracks up there that you can go to that runs late models, pro late models. It's just an awesome place to live. You know, just like the drag strips. There's drag strips all over the place throughout North Carolina and South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just those two states are just a big powerhouse for racing on every platform.
Mm-hmm. And my thing is like, I didn't used to think that you had to like be in North Carolina to like make stuff happen. And I originally from Ohio, go Buckeyes. And I just was a big fan of just like, you know what, I can make it work from home and just getting out of college. I'm like, I got to save up. I got to do whatever. And for me, there was a moment where I'm like, how bad do I want this? And so I literally shelled out basically all of my savings early last year and moved to the Charlotte area for like a month just to see what opportunities I could make for myself. It was like, what connections can I make? What for sure things? Because the last thing I wanted to do was move here and not have anything lined up and just scrape and claw. I just didn't want to be in that position. So moving here for that month last year kind of forged that opportunity to grow that opportunity with like Racing America. And then when I moved here full time, you know, continued with them, and it's been a great opportunity to be able to work with them and continue working with them too. And but for me, it's like none of that would have happened or fully gone through if I hadn't have made the plunge to move. But it's true. It's a great place to be. It's the heart of racing, short track, drag strips, ovals, anything you can think of is really here. And then of course, South Carolina. I went to the dirt track at Lancaster about like an hour out from Charlotte a little bit. And I was like, that's the first dirt race I ever went to. And I loved it. And I'm like, now I like dirt racing.
Oh, yeah.
So
dirt racing's fun.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Dirt racing is a lot of fun. We used to go to the local track here in Jacksonville, Florida. And the first thing that you learn is you do not sit down low at turn 4.
Oh, no.
For obvious reasons. Well, you could tell the people who do not know. The locals, they'll go to turn 4, but they'll sit high. And, you know, so you see people down there all dressed up, you know what I mean, like they're on a night out and just figured stop in with their girl, whatever. Like, oh, yeah, they get down low and looking. And then, you know, warm-up laps ain't no big deal. But as soon as they drop it about the second or third lap, especially if it's a dusty night, it's all over. You know, Don't smile, don't know, because you're just peppered from head to toe.
Oh,
and, you know, I'm like, I've never been around a dirt track, but even I knew that. I mean, I looked around, you know, it's like, well, there's nobody sitting in bottom 4 rows and it's that much full of dirt. It's kind of a self-gift. But it is a lot of fun. And we encourage everybody, go support your local track, no matter what it is. Go support it. Right. It is a lot of fun. It's a family atmosphere. And like I said, and if you can't afford a car, but you want to get involved with it, I am sure there's somebody in the pits who can use an extra pair of hands, you know, and you can go befriend somebody and start that way. And you never know.
So I'm going to ask you a question. You're there in Charlotte, and I know you visit all the different shops that are there. Which one of the shops stand out the most to you?
Oh, gosh. There's 2, if I could go into 2 real quick. One is obviously Penske. It's Penske perfect. It's clean. I was able to take my grandpa there, and he doesn't have a background in understanding racing, really. So kind of didn't fully understand what I was doing, the world I was in, and I got to show him Penske, and he was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm getting it. I understand it. I understand the gravity, the magnitude of everything that's happening. He's like, you could eat off the floor of this shop. I'm like, yeah, like it's clean. It's pristine. Mm-hmm. That one was really cool. I actually got to tour it with my other grandparents a few years back, and got to go through like the gym and where they do pit stops and everything like that. And it was just mind blowing, like the technology and things that they had. The other shop that I just went to and took my grandpa that I went to Penske with recently was Haas Factory Team. I had seen the shop when it was Stewart Haas Racing, and I was able to go and like look at the cars and everything like that. And since they changed to Haas Factory, you can't go in the shop. It's not open to fans yet. So we had the opportunity, shout out to Matthew over there, to tour the shop and get a behind the scenes look. And for me, with the change from the Gen 6 to the Gen 7 car, how much space in these shops is empty. There are so many like rooms that are just storage rooms now because they don't have certain roles that are needed because of this car. It's kind of like the IKEA car. When I took a tour at Jacobs Racing, they called it like the IKEA car, which was so funny. But with Joe Gibbs, they were able to kind of retrofit some of those rooms and some of the people that otherwise would have been let go to do different roles, kind of expanding their business with Haas Factory Team. They just let a lot of people go. They don't have a 4-car team anymore. So it was really interesting to see not only just the change between generations of cars within that shop, but just how much was needed to kind of fulfill everything that they were working on. So very different perspectives there, but those were two that really stuck out to me for sure.
You know,
never thought about that.
And with the new car, I mean, I do like the design of the car. My only thing as a fan watching, I have a problem with the tire setup on them because the tires are so thin. It's like soon as they get low, they get stuck and they cannot make it back to pit road, which, you know, in the past, if you had tire trouble, you could still limp it back all the way and get it down pit road. That's my only one of my only things that I do not like about the car. Now, as far as safety with it, I think the safety parts of it is just wonderful, and how the flaps work. And I think maybe over the next couple of years, I think maybe they need to look at how the carbon fiber is across the bottom of the car, and maybe make some changes there so it doesn't become an airfold when they do bounce up, because when you take air and move it over a car and it's flat on the bottom, it creates a vacuum, which creates lift just like a wing on a plane. And hopefully they can do something with that in the near future and make that part a little bit safer so cars don't flip. But the thing is, cars has flipped in the past, and they're probably still going to flip in the future. But you know,
right. But you take them from a turtle to something else. You know.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe they can work maybe some kind of flap system up underneath the car, or some ripples or something there to try to bring that even flow of air rushing up underneath it.
Be careful what you wish for, because the easy thing, the next step is to put channels up under it, similar to Formula Ones or Indy cars, so that, you know, then have diffusers in the back, and then next thing you know, it's turned into a supercar over in Australia and stuff like that. So I'm exaggerating slightly, but everybody can see the slippery slope. Okay, and you know, which, don't get me wrong, progress. I am all for safety. Mitchell agrees. We all agree. Safety number one. I like durability. I like it if these things bump and grind on each other, that you got a chance to get back around to get a fix. I don't like the fact that if you breathe on them too hard, something blows apart and it's all over. And it's like going, no, come on. Like Mitchell said about the tires, is a good point. I don't know. And I'm talking about as a fan looking at it. Yeah. I mean, I like people come down to the pit road. I like adjustments being made. I like the team being involved with it, because it's not just a driver. It's not just a car. It's team, it's strategy. It's a lot of things involved with it. And, you know, to keep things exciting. But I can honestly say I do not like the inverting thing. I do not like that we do a stage thing. I do not. That's just me. I like the fact that, hey, we got 200 laps, grind it out. First one to the end gets it. Okay.
Well, I
that's
think
just me.
Yeah, I think the reason why they started doing the staging platform is because they're, you know, if you go to the dirt track, what do you get? You get those short laps, you know, 60 laps, 35 laps, whatever. And I think they were trying to convert some of that over into NASCAR and trying to bring that interest in that kind of look for the fans. But one thing a lot of people did not like about NASCAR is when they changed the wheel package as far as the lug nuts, getting rid of them with the locking hubs instead. But to me, I think it's a whole lot safer for them as tire changers of putting that lock on those wheels and trying to get all 5 lug nuts down and snug, creating an issue of a tire coming off out there on the track. So I think that part of the tires is good. I just don't think the tires are tall enough. I like a little bit of a
That's
taller
splitting
tire.
hairs, isn't it? That's splitting hairs. She's like, really? How did we get off a podcast and we're talking about rules? It's like, how did this go on?
There's been so many rule changes with this new car, and just as NASCAR has evolved, and like always in my comment section, it's a complaint about the playoff format. It's a complaint about stages. I'm like, I agree. I think the playoff format lightly sucks. I think it needs changed. Like I can appreciate what NASCAR's trying to do with it. They're trying to create intrigue, edge of your seat moments. They're trying to create like a no one's out of it, because for a lot of fans, if they're a diehard fan of one certain driver, if their driver is not in the playoffs, they're not fighting for a championship, they'll stop watching. So it's
Right.
how do you retain those fans over an entire season? But at the same time, what we need to start factoring in as well is how do we also maintain the integrity of a championship to
Right.
where when you have those final 10 races, a full season still matters. And I don't think we've fully seen that necessarily the past so many years
Agreed.
with this win and you're in elimination style format. And obviously today, there was some big discourse around the playoff format with some comments from SiriusXM and NASCAR Radio and all this stuff. And some shade thrown to Mark Martin, which I don't get why we're doing that. Mark Martin's a treasure, but
know,
there
right?
was, it was
like, really?
crazy. And my thing was like, if we can have discourse that's respectful, love it. But I do think that the playoff format does need to be adjusted. I will say I am actually a fan of the single lug. What's interesting about it is like you think about pit crews, how they're picked for these teams, how they're selected. There's a bunch of like pit crew members that are like contracted out who have training on the 5 lug, but not the single lug. I know with Penske, obviously there's factors that go into continuing their Xfinity program or not. I know after talking to a few of their crew members, one that was a factor was the extra resources to have to source out a pit crew that can handle 5 lugs and a single lug. It doesn't seem like a lot, but if you're Penske perfect, you're going for race wins. Having these teams switch back and forth sometimes can lead to mistakes. So overall, I do like it. It is a safety aspect as well to where it's positive. If you get the 1 lug on, you're good. If you don't, we have tires going everywhere. But
Right.
lots of rule changes, lots of adjustments, especially with, you know, a younger fan base too, kind of moving in as well.
And also, to me, it speeds up the pit stops. You know,
Yes.
even if you do have a problem with that, you know, that locking hub on that wheel, you're not dropped. You didn't 2 or 3 lug nuts didn't come off the rim, and you're having to search on them,
Right.
and then your car doesn't get out and has a 20-something second pit stop compared to just one hub that jams up and you can replace it. They get it on, and it only costs them 3 seconds. You know, I like that portion of it. It makes it more competitive on pit road
Yeah.
between all the teams. Is the way I look at it.
100%.
I say put them on dirt.
Bring back Bristol dirt.
I said, I mean, let's face it. Now that's would be fun. Have a bonus race or 2. Okay, NASCAR, the legit NASCARs, raise them up, give them ground clearance, take the splitter off of them, things like that. Take the side windows out of them, put them on dirt. Okay, and the drivers will be drivers. Okay, and I just think it'd be something exciting. I mean, it'd be just for money, exposure, nothing to affect the points. But you could have that on All-Star thing.
And I love that. I loved when NASCAR went to Bristol dirt. The first year wasn't a huge fan because there were some things that needed to be cleaned up with how we
Right.
actually treat the track and stuff like that. But afterwards, I was like, this is actually really fun. Did I think it should be a points race? No.
Agreed.
But the event itself was, I thought, phenomenal. I thought it brought some wonder back to Bristol, which typically during the spring doesn't have a huge crowd. I've been there in the spring before, and I was like, where did everybody go? Why aren't they here? Did they know there was a race? But with the dirt race, it was so much fun. It brought in a new crowd because they were curious to see how are these stock cars going to do on the dirt. I think it'd be cool to bring it back. It's just a matter of when and how with our already
Right.
packed schedule for 38 weekends, but I think it'd be such a cool thing. And you saw these dirt drivers like Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, like offering good insight and takes and doing pretty decently there too.
That's what I'm talking about. Now you
fun.
got somebody with so much dirt background. They're like going, okay,
Yeah.
now we're back home. Let's have some fun with this, And so you get something about the size of Richmond. Okay, if you got that, a little bit bigger than a bull ring of Bristol. I mean, I personally would like that. I mean,
That'd be fun.
It'd be a lot of fun. Yeah, don't be something crazy. Put like the Springfield Mile or something like that.
Oh, no.
Which, by the way, I want to go to that. I want Mitchell to go too. I don't know. Have you ever been to the Springfield Mile?
I've not.
Okay. Have you ever watched any of the races there with the motorcycle races in Springfield?
Yes.
That is some of the most exciting stuff. Oh my goodness. That is a race we have to. How did we go from Mitchell? How did we start on drag racing and go straight through NASCAR? Okay. I'm blaming you.
Well, it's a great conversation piece that we hardly ever get to talk too much. We don't ever hardly get to talk too much about NASCAR because, I mean, we're basically 80% to 90% mostly drag racing on the page, but there's a lot of crossover there as for fans. Fans just don't cater to one sport, not the other. There's a lot of fans that jump back and forth and watch both. But one of the things I would like to see, yes, I would like to see them race a little bit more on dirt and cut some of these road courses out. But like Robert said, it gives those guys that are really good a chance to win at something that they're used to racing on, dirt, like Kyle Larson, just like all the road courses that we have now with SVG.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's really good at road courses, and Connor Zillage. I mean, he has done a great job, and actually he won this past weekend.
Yeah.
So on an oval. So just goes to show you that he can drive on both, and Junior Motorsports is looking excellent over their next Xfinity series for sure. But yeah, I would like to see some more dirt and drop a road course or two out of it.
Agree. I think there's too many.
Agree. But Taylor, I would like to ask you a question. You're so involved in social media on so many different platforms. I know why you said you started your podcast. Okay, and it has grown and grown and grown. What is your goal with your podcast? Is it to, just basically have your own booth there and basically take over, which you should, by the way, take over all the NASCAR announcements live during the races? I mean, what is your goal?
The goal has changed over time. Originally, I didn't have a goal. I didn't have the podcast moving anywhere towards a career. I just did it for fun. And I know that's what everyone says, but I kind of go through day to day, not having really an end goal for it. I think this year and the end of last year, it became more clear what I want it to be. And a lot of it is just, I've had the incredible opportunity to be mentored by and work with so many incredible journalists, content creators, producers, etc., from college up until now. And my thing is, they gave me a foot in the door. With ATYL Media, what I would love to do and what we have done is giving content creators who kind of go above and beyond with their content and give them a foot in the door and say, hey, do you want to do this full time? Do you want to do this professionally? Do you want a shot to interview drivers, etc.? Here's your shot. And try to coach them and work with them on kind of bettering their content, bettering their interviewing skills, or learning interviewing skills if they don't have them, and kind of give them a kind of a leg to stand on. And a lot of the content creators that work with me have already done phenomenal work. A lot of them didn't need the extra help, but the connections sure helped them kind of get farther. So for me, what I loved about what we're doing and what the goal is to offer people that platform. And with that as well, like, sure, I'd love to see more content creators and content platforms engaged with major motorsports series like NHRA. We have a great relationship with them now. And now we have a show dedicated to NHRA where we work with them to bring drivers on. And it's a very mutually beneficial relationship. And we love working with them. I'd love for the same to happen with NASCAR and IndyCar. And we just got, our first credentials to cover IndyCar races a few weeks ago. And I think the more we can do that, the better. And the reason behind that, even with my journalistic background in mind, is the fans relate to those who are also making content, are kind of at the same eye level as them, right? Like
Right.
I love listening to Dale Jr. in the booth. Love it. I love listening to Steve Letarte, Adam Alexander, all of them. But there's a different relationship and connection to a content creator that a fan of a sport has with that content creator. It's more at their level. It's more of a conversation. And I think it'd be so cool to have those like alt casts or live casts with a content creator or a team of content creators for these series. I think that'd be really cool. The other thing that I've kept in mind as I've worked in this sport as well, not only from the content side, but I've done marketing for drivers, PR for drivers, behind the scenes, driver development companies, is these drivers need a space to tell their stories. They need a space to have podcasts, to make content, to learn how to make content, to learn how to market. And like, and think of a 5-year plan of like, wouldn't it be cool to have like a studio or a setup here that can be rented out to drivers, that can be brought in with content creators and just host shows or podcasts or whatever it is. Like, I mean, you think about like the NASCAR Media Communication Center in Concord, and like that's state of the art, like incredible. And I'm like, what if there was something like that for just content creators and drivers and teams that is affordable and offers them a space to give their partners value. So it's a whole slew of goals and ideas that kind of wrap into one of just helping others reach their goal through media and, of course, motorsports. Long answer short.
No.
You're
That's exactly where I was going with my next
Yeah.
question. That, and you went right with it. That was exactly, and the fact that you also offer your services for not only NASCAR but for other racing platforms. And you gave me an idea. I'm going to talk to Mitchell about. You just gave me an idea too, going along those lines. Don't worry, it won't interfere with what you're doing. You know? but I think that's very forward thinking. It really is. But also the fact that we completely agree with you. A lot of the content creators that we deal with, like speaking with you and others, and it doesn't matter what age, both young and to the more mature, they have a different perspective of the sport. They have a different view of the sport. And a lot of it is more relatable to the person that was watching it either for the first time or coming there with their family or seeing on TV. Mitchell and I see it all the time. We're at the Gators. We're walking around. We're going through the stage lanes. We're going through the pits and stuff like that. And we're one of the few groups that we went walking through the sportsman pits. We went walking from front to rear, side to side, and it's dark, and there with flashlights, and we met more people and interviewed more people, and several of them.
For it.
Yeah, and it's exactly, there is a serious market there, and finding out that people are promoting races, sponsoring races. They, they're involved with this big stuff.
Yeah.
Not small stuff. And I'm like going, oh my goodness. I said, has anybody ever talked to you about this? He goes, no, you're literally the first person. I was like going, what? So once again, an interesting story to tell.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you hit on, which was really huge. I mean, some of these professional drivers, that are not out in the limelight of everything because they're a lower budget team or whatever. They don't get to tell their story, or they're shy on camera. And by doing podcasts, that gets them out of their shell and gets them more relaxed. You don't have to do this at the track. You can do it at the race shop. You can do it from your house to just get used to having a camera, communicate back and forth, and answer questions. And I mean, we've even had some professional drivers on our podcast that they would say, I don't know if I want to be on camera. I'm like, hey, it's easy. I say, you're just sitting back, you're relaxing. We're going to ask you questions. You just answer them.
And we're just talking
a little bit about your story, and just talk like we're standing in the staging lanes at the track. I said, it's that simple. And there's and don't worry if you stumble a little bit. I stumble some as well when I'm talking. It's normal.
Right. Everything that I think the biggest thing I learned from college, I learned so much in college, but one of my things in my capstone course was like, write like you talk, or everything's a conversation. An interview was just a more formal conversation with a set time, set date. But you go in like you're having a conversation. It eases the tension, not only for you as the interviewer, but also to the interviewee, who's also probably maybe as nervous as you are, because they're like, I want this to go well. I hope I don't slip up. I hope I say all my partners' names. I hope I don't say or like too much. And training drivers for PR too, and how to do interviews. And even like I have an internship group right now. They're kicking butt. They're doing such good job on like everything that we're doing here with ATYL Media. But I've been working with them with like their on-camera presence, the energy they have behind, what they're saying, their scripting, writing a script for more of a conversational style. And all these things that have journalistic roots are so crucial for these drivers to know, content creators to know. And even too, like when it goes to content creators, sourcing information, how do you get credible sources? How do you know you're giving a credible fact? It all goes into everything too. And obviously the bigger goal for me is, helping others have those resources if they want them, finding those resources, learning kind of a journalistic route to whatever they want to do within content, marketing, whatever. But also like it helps me to learn from others, and like for me, like learning more about Formula One. I don't know a whole lot about Formula One, but through my platform and through the professionalism that's been displayed by the others in my group, I'm like, I'm learning about Formula One. I'm learning about how to like talk about it, write about it, etc. So it's all just about learning from one another and helping each other kind of learn the skills that you need.
Right. And like, when I do interview drivers in the pits at a national event, one, for instance, Lyle Barnett, I've known Lyle for quite some time, and he was up there. He's racing the NHRA, and then he jumped over and he started racing PDRA, and he got offered to drive a pro mod at Charlotte, which Charlotte's only maybe an hour from his house. And he's like, heck yeah, I don't have nothing going on this weekend. So it gave me the opportunity to go up there and talk to him and also Vincent Nobile. And how I try to do it, I try to get them in a position like if they can't think of all their sponsors, all they have to do is glance over at the car.
Yeah.
And they see the sponsors on the rear quarter panel, and it keeps everything flowing well. And it doesn't look like they're even had to look at the car.
Yeah.
That's the kind of things that I try to keep in mind when I'm in the pits, where they can see if they start to stumble, they can catch it really quick.
Yeah, it's setting
because
yourself.
I'm about making them look good.
Yeah, right. That's the thing. You're setting them up for success. You never go into an interview. Hopefully, you never go into an interview trying to make somebody look bad or feel bad or whatever. It's you want them to just tell their story, tell their perspective, and you're gonna want to set them up for as much success as possible with that. So I love that you do that. That's good.
I guess the most difficult thing is like anything, is if you're talking to somebody and literally you're asking, you're setting up a question and stuff like that, and want them to tell the story, and their story is exactly a sentence long, and that's it. I started when I was 16, and then silence, and you're like going,
and
you're currently not 16. What has happened between 16 and now? And I've had to learn, because like when Mitchell, how I got started here is Mitchell interviewed me, and I've never been interviewed before. At least not in legal sense, but we won't talk about that. Anyway, that's a totally different subject altogether. No, I'm kidding. I plead the fifth. Anyway, so he interviewed me, and I'm like going, well, anybody that knows me, my wife will say this, I don't know a stranger. I just like talking to people. And because I try to be positive and upbeat about things, because we all know what's going on in the world and everything can beat you down. But if you see something positive and upbeat, has a better response to people. So it's the same thing on meeting and talking to people. And so when he interviewed me, I'm trying to be positive and saying this is what happened and this is why, and stuff like that, and promoting the track and the race and why, make it exciting for somebody to come who's never come. And then after that, he's like going, hey man, you want to come do this some more? I was like, who, me? I don't know what to ask anybody. You know what I mean? I mean, who? I don't know.
A lot of us just be yourself and
right.
And listen to the person's story. That's to me the most important part of doing this.
I love listening.
Another good thing that you said is having your facts straightened out. Like I write a lot on the page, and so to make sure that I'm right, I'll check 5 or 6 other sources. Kind of double check and make sure before I put something down and post it on the page. You have to study it. I mean, I'll sit here and I'll write an article like I wrote one on Elite Motorsports. And I had to double make sure I was 100% sure that it was Jack Coughlin's first time going to a final round. but
This
I
year.
had to take the time and spend over 20 minutes going through all the ladders of all the races so far this year and looking who was in those ladders to make double sure that I was correct. Because
Mhm.
as soon as you put something out that's incorrect, you'll have 50,000 people commenting,
Yep.
no, that's not right.
And I'd rather be accurate than get something out first. And
Agreed.
you,
Right.
over
Agreed.
time, like you learn that the hard way as you're first starting out because you just want to get the news out there first. You want to maybe like get clicks or whatever. Like, I don't care about that. I would rather things be right than be wrong. And the other thing too is I think a lot of people are afraid to either ask for help or ask for like the double checking. And I'm a huge fan of just saying, hey, listen, I have this article, have it right. Obviously, like if I'm writing for Racing America on SI or Racing America, like we have a whole editorial team that'll like check the work before it's posted. But I'll often ask them like, "Hey, I've checked this stat like 3 times, and 2 out of the 3 times I've gotten the right answer, but like now I'm second guessing myself. Check the fourth source, give me something different. Can you check it?" Like there's no shame in that. Like there's more
Right.
shame if you post it and it's wrong.
Right.
So it's always asking for help, double checking your sources. A lot of it, like you guys said, it's like knowing where to look and spending those extra 20 minutes, like to make sure that you're right. And it might mean you're posting 20 minutes late or 30 or an hour, but you're right though.
You're right.
Well, like this weekend, this past weekend, there in Seattle, we had an 80. How old was he? 81 years
81.
old.
81. Mhm.
81 years old, one stock eliminator. So he is the oldest person to win a stock eliminator race at a national event. So, and of course, we knew about it, and I seen some other posts, but they were really short. They just said, blah, blah, blah. He 80 years old. I says, no,
That's
we're
it.
going to go more in detail. We're going to tell a little bit about a story about when he started, some of his accomplishments through a couple of the years, and that he was also inducted into the NHRA Division 6 Hall of Fame. I said,
Mhm.
all of that's important to go along with that. Yeah, it's cool that, he won the event, but let's get a little bit more in depth
Context.
with him.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I tell
Right.
all of my creators and even like the interns because they're like, oh, like I don't know if I'm able to get to like the breaking news post in time, and I'm like, that's okay. But what we can do with it instead is expand upon it. It's finding different angles to a story, like it's almost like a sidebar piece or something like that when you're writing journalistically. It's workshopping a story and saying, okay, everyone's taking this angle. Where else can we go with it? Whether it's about like the fan experience, a certain driver, a piece of breaking news about whether it's a lawsuit in NASCAR or a driver moves somewhere else. Okay, we know that, but what else does it impact? And it's writing stories
Right.
about what else does it impact or what else is there that matters because it's sometimes it's not what a lot of people know or a lot of times it's not what other people are thinking of immediately. So what I like to do is I like to kind of take the blanket story and be like, okay, but where else do we go with it? And for example, for that, like Brent Wentz, a good friend of mine, he did the I guess he did the double with IndyCar and with NASCAR. Being a spotter there and trying to pull that off yet again. I know the rain got in his way again this year, unfortunately. But as we were getting into the interview, I'm like, everyone knows he's doing the double, whatever. But as a collector myself, I'm like, I want to talk about his collection and his background and things like that. We had a whole big conversation about like his stored days gone by vintage and his love for collecting and the things he's found and where he looks. And I'm like, that's the side of him that I don't think anyone else has really heard about, or at least not at length to where, people are able to talk about it. But it was cool to give him, the platform to talk more about that and see him light up talking about things and answering different questions that maybe he typically gets asked too. So it's always fun to take a story in a different direction just to shine light on something else.
I agree
That's good.
100%.
Now, let me ask you something, Taylor. Now, as somebody starting out or just loves the sport, whatever sport it might be, okay, what do you recommend or what suggestions do you have for them wanting to get involved? Obviously, to reach out to Above the Yellow Line Media, obviously, that goes without saying. But other than that, I mean, what do you recommend? Do you recommend them to get involved in, like you said, journalistic training through schooling or what?
I think I say I wish I did this in college, but I go back and forth with because the degree for me holds a lot of credibility. You see a bunch of other content creators out there without the journalistic degree that are doing great work, but then it's like okay, what's your credibility? For me, it's like I have the degree, I put in the hours, I did double the prerequisites that I was supposed to do for my major. We had to do like double the math classes and science classes and everything like that. Because as a journalist, you're supposed to be well-rounded. And so for me, the schooling was everything to me. What I wish I kind of would have done, knowing what I know now and kind of the path I'm on, is maybe like major in marketing and business and then minor in journalism. But at the end of the day, like the degree's got me to where I am. Now, for those who don't want to go back to school, because that's a lot of money, like I highly recommend just, talking to other journalists, see their past. If they went to school, then it's like, okay, what are some resources that I could learn that would be helpful for me? Like looking over the AP style book is huge. It changes like every 5-ish years. I think they update it every 5-ish years. I could be wrong on the time, but it's like how to write certain dates, how to write names, places, etc. Just so when you're writing, it's in the same kind of form or style. Learning how to write what you talk. It's a great book that my capstone course had to read in college that taught me how to write for a broadcast, for the internet, for stuff like that. A lot of where to start is just being inquisitive and just kind of asking people about, what they do in their day-to-day and how to go forward. I think the one question that I get a lot is like, where do I start? And I'm like, okay, what do you want to do? And people are like, well, I want to make content. Like, I really want to work for X team and make content for them. Or I want to work for so-and-so driver. And I'm like, okay, like, where's your portfolio? They haven't started yet. And I'm like,
right.
You can't work for the team or the driver if you have nothing to show yet. So it's just starting. I did a lot in high school. I ran a film club where we watched films, tried to make short films, etc. I'd always loved storytelling and just that aspect of things. But I learned to edit on my own in high school before I went to college. I learned kind of the basics of storytelling in high school just because I was inquisitive. When it came to college, obviously that helped kind of round out the way I told stories and how I interviewed and stuff like that. But the podcast wasn't a suggestion from a professor. It wasn't a whatever. It was something
Right.
I wanted to do because I wanted to see what I could do myself and learn. And that became my portfolio. So for me, for a lot of people, it's just starting. I started off with my phone as my way of recording audio. Like I didn't have a fancy microphone. And everyone's like, I need to get like $1,000 microphone. I'm like, you do not. Use your phone. And just start,
Very
so
true.
that's what I tell everybody. That's kind of the basis of where I'm like, here's how you should get going. But I also say too, and you all know this too, like reach out to your local short tracks. If you want to learn how to work on cars, if you want to learn how to do photography, PA announcing, PR, whatever that is, you can always make such great connections at that short track level. Whether it's you get a pit pass and you're like, hey, I'm a photographer. Here's my work. I'd love to just take photos for you for this race, maybe for free, depending on, the situation you're in. If you like them, let's work out a deal maybe for the rest of your racing season at this track. I'd love to, be part of your journey, like stuff like that. It is so crucial. So going out to those short tracks as well is another piece of advice I'd love to give.
And you have to give a little bit of yourself up front first to be able to move forward. Say for instance, now we live stream a couple of races a year, but I live stream all the bracket races at Gainesville for nothing.
Right.
But it wasn't for nothing because I actually got my foot in the door onto live stream some big money bracket races. There, and now it's starting to open up the door where it's very possible I can maybe start working for NHRA and doing some of their divisional finals for bracket racing at several tracks. It's not in stone yet, but it's just one of the things that I've mentioned. So it wasn't for free. I didn't do it for free.
Nothing's for free, that's for sure.
And paid off.
Right, and that's my thing. I think I am not a fan of working for free, especially in just like as a college student, you're already working your butt off with credit hours and for free. I had an internship, 2 jobs, a full course load, and I was working for my school's news broadcast. I'm going to call it news broadcast for a semester. I also did ringside reporting for the CCHA for my college. I was doing all of that one semester. And I killed myself doing it, essentially. Like I was so dead after that semester. But part of it was just, I guess, the price of your foot in the door. And a lot of it was free work. A lot of what I did within motorsports for the first few years, I tried to put my foot in the door was free, but it helped me build my portfolio. It helped me learn from others. The payment, I hate to say it because I hate to say it, but it is the experience. It is the networking. It is the whatever. And you hope that networking carries over to an opportunity that can help you, make a living and things like that. But sometimes, like you said, you have to give some of yourself first before you kind of start building, right? So
pay your dues. You paid your dues, and that's just part of it. And you see, you've put in the time, you've put in the effort, and it shows. And right now you're working with your business that you started to, in a way, give back. There's an avenue that is needed by companies, by racers, by businesses, and you're showing them an opportunity through Above the Yellow Line Media. So it's a wise move. It's a good move. You saw an opening that is people need, and you're providing for it.
And one of the things we wanted to give you a chance to mention, what are some of your marketing partners that help you?
Yeah, I mean, we just started working with NASCAR.shop. They sell a bunch of just NASCAR trading cards. It's a world I'm just starting to get into, and I'm learning that a lot of my friends are actually already invested in that world too. Dan over there has been fantastic, and he has a rich history in the sport. His kids love the sport, and working with just families that love the sport and want to try to grow either their business or their passion for the sport or connections, whatever that is. Love working with them. So they've been an awesome partner of ours. Goat Locker Racing is another one. They're a 501c3 nonprofit for veterans. And I learned about their mission, I believe at this point it was like 2 years ago, maybe it was a year ago, but Patrick over there and Jamie Barkus have been just so incredible. The work that they do, they work with their partners to gift sim rigs to veterans, almost as just like some sort of like sim racing therapy. It's given all these veterans a group to kind of call home, people to talk with, and they just do the coolest things. So I can't say enough good things about them. Benzik Designs, all of these 4-tiered stands I have are from Matt Benzik, my buddy Matt. And he came to me last year and was like, hey, so you have a lot of die cast and you don't have a great way to like display them. And was thinking like, what about like 3D stands? I saw you have a few, but like, what if we can make them better? I'm like, sold. So he started his whole business just off of the idea. And we've been able to provide him a lot of good business. And he's been a great partner and trying to help us brainstorm how do we work better with our marketing partners. Getting to work with K1 Racing Gear too, to like interview their drivers has been cool. But even like Matt, he made the whole like the Charlotte Motor Speedway stand back here just because why not? And it's been like the coolest thing ever. He was like printed out my logo. He sent me a photo when he was like painting the logo. I was like, that is so cool. But those are a few of the people that we're currently working with, our marketing partners that have just been above and beyond. I can't say enough too about my team of content creators. We have our interns that are doing so great. But like John, Sal, Duke, Buddy, and then the guys that are on my live show, Dom, Adam, Ben, and Rob, they all do such incredible work. We just brought on 2 more content creators as well, MJ and Andrea, who are covering our IndyCar thing. And they started off just content creators on TikTok, and I saw a lot of potential in them. They have such an infectious personality. They know what they're talking about. They know their stuff. And bringing them on our team has been so cool. So it's like a little family. And I met a lot of the guys through social media when I started my podcast, and we're like lifelong friends now. It's been so fun. So obviously want to shout out the marketing partners, but shout out the team that I have too, because without them, we wouldn't be able to scale up the way we are. We want to be able to partner with these series like we are now. It's been really cool.
You're like a modern speed sport news. I mean, you really are. I mean, you really are. I mean, you're covering so much. Wow, it's great. Now, how can people find you, and what your platforms that you are on?
I'm all over social media. Whatever platform it is, I'm probably there, from like Blue Sky, Threads, those platforms to like Twitter and Facebook and everywhere. I say the easiest place to find me and everyone on my team is just go to abovetheyellowline.com. I'm really excited. We're working on revamping the website, but website's still up now and functional. Just go to abovetheyellowline.com. You can find all of our social media platforms, more information about our individual content creators, their backgrounds, and just everything that we do on there.
Well, I'm going to ask you a question. Have y'all gone to the PRI?
We have not, but I've been dying to go to PRI for the past few years. I've had drivers that have gone there to work on marketing stuff. The folks from Goat Locker Racing went last year and they had a great time. So the goal is to hopefully go this year, fingers crossed, because I know it's an incredible, not only just like marketing opportunity, networking opportunity, but it's just like, it's such a cool event. So the goal is to go, fingers crossed.
Well, exactly. And it's actually cool with it being in Indianapolis in December.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
I think the high last year was about 15.
As a Midwest gal coming from Ohio, I know that all too well. The pain all too well.
Yeah, but
Cold.
for a Florida boy, no,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna
not it.
wrap up.
Bad.
I
It
know.
really
But
wasn't bad.
Mitchell's like, I'm in a t-shirt, walking around, I'm like going, yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna be, bundled up like like the Michelin
I had
Man
a
over
thin
here,
jacket on.
Yeah.
I had a thin jacket on, and I actually walked from the convention center back to the hotel, which is probably about a little less than a quarter of a mile. But yeah, I came out, and one guy, he says, "Man, you must be from up here." I was like, "No,
No, from Florida. From
And
Florida.
he goes, "I'm from Minnesota." I was like, "I'm from Florida." He goes, "And you're just wearing a jacket?" I was like, "You don't understand. There's no humidity.
Yeah.
No humidity."
He gave up his man card that day, but I mean, he wasn't going to fess up on that, but he did. He was giving away some points real quick. So it's like, Mitchell, I noticed didn't, probably just gave him the look and kept on going like, eh. But yeah, hopefully, I mean, we're going to see what the weather's going to be like this year, but it's an exciting event, and it is a large event. I mean, we used to go to it all the time when it was down here in Orlando. So we're looking forward to, hopefully, Lord willing, going to it this year. He went last year. I was not able to go. I had some family medical thing to take care of. So, but hopefully this year I can attend, and hopefully we'll see you and your whole group there. Yeah. So we'll be able to do like cross modulation on doing interviews. We'll have cameras turn on. We'll have cameras turn on each other on each time. Have logos behind each other. That'd be kind of good.
That'd be kind of funny.
We'll have an OTS logo on a stick. I'll be walking around with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're trying to find your driver at the airport. And you're just like trying to hold it up.
Yes.
Every time you interview, you got to stick it in there. What's that?
And what's so good there, Taylor, if there is someone that you want to interview, they have a room where you can actually go and do your interview off the floor if you don't want to do it on the floor. So PRI is very good about doing that as well.
Yeah. Yep. Awesome. They have a whole place just for podcasting that you, like you said, that's actually on the floor, and then there's some that are quieter off the floor. So you have options.
Like a 30 minutes or 45-minute session that you can use that. So you can actually run 2 or 3 quick interviews with a few people. So PRI they are great for having that show like that as many years that they had it. Unfortunately, I miss it being in Orlando.
Oh, yeah.
You and me both.
Could imagine.
You and me both. Well, it makes no sense. You're literally in Orlando, in Florida, in December. Which one do you think that your family and kids want to go to? Go to Florida in December or Indianapolis in December?
I'm glad that you mentioned that, but this is the thing. The good thing about having it in Indianapolis is that more people tend to stay there and network. When people go to Orlando, they want to go in, they want to get out, they want to take their family to Disney World.
Oh, yeah.
Again, Florida in December. Now, think about this. Happy wife, happy life. Okay? Happy family, happy life. So if you're able to, if somebody's able to take their family and kids and take them down to Florida for a week, it doesn't mean that they're going to be with the family the whole time. They're going to be working at PRI and whatnot and stuff like that. But don't you think that afterwards that you can get more people together outside in an open air environment and be able to network and do things like that versus everybody's forced to be inside at Indy depending on the weather. You know what I mean? And family not wanting to go and stuff like that. And I mean, that's just being selfish. That's all that is. That's
either way, both places was great events, but it was really packed up there at the convention center. And I forget how many vendors that they actually had on site. I mean, it was unreal, the numbers. I mean, it covered 2 buildings, which is the whole convention center. And it covered the inside of Lucas Oil Field.
Yeah.
That's how huge it is.
Oh, yeah. And not to mention the trailer people there, not to mention the toter home people there, not to mention everything under the sun. It's just, and not to mention Machinery Row. It's a lot. I'm like going, it's like sensory overload. But anyway,
And ARCA had a wonderful booth there. They really did, where you could sit down, get a lot of information about the ARCA series, East and West, and actually talk to a gentleman and hopefully try to circle back to him a little bit and talk to him this coming year, because we would like to reach out and have a couple of ARCA drivers come on and tell their stories and where
absolutely.
they began and where they want their career to end up. Do they want to make it all the way to the Cup Series, or are they happy just making it to the Craftsman Truck Series or Xfinity Series?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you feel the same way. We like to have World of Outlaw on, Silver Crown Series. I like to have somebody from Baja in drag boat racing. We've had land speed. Yeah, so far we've had land speed racing, which interesting. I love it. Land speed racing, obviously drag racing, dirt car racing, motorcycle racing. We've had that stuff on. So,
Well, we did cover cover boat racing a little bit with Sean Reed.
That's true. That's true because he drag boat raced. So that was cool. But you didn't ask all that. You're like going, why is this about you? No, never mind. So anyway, no, we're kidding. We like joking with you because you're very lighthearted. But Taylor, I want to tell you, thank you so much for taking time out of your crazy busy schedule. We know you have a meeting to go to, and you probably got a clock alarm going off like right behind your camera. Because she told us, ladies and gentlemen, she told us before that she does have a meeting to go to. So she goes, if I start getting a little antsy, it's nothing personal. So anyway, so we've kept that in mind. But we encourage everybody to follow Taylor Kitchen's work at Above the Yellow Line and also Above the Yellow Line Media, to look them up at all the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, X, etc. Okay,
and Race America as well.
Yes. There you go. There you go. You will absolutely find her and her team working very, very hard, not only behind the scenes, but in front. But also the fact that they're providing a opportunity for people to get involved in the social media aspect for not only as a driver, but a team or a content creator. That's great opportunity for everybody. So we encourage everybody to look into it and to reach out to them to help you and to help their team and also yourself.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been so fun. Thank you so much.
Well, hopefully I'll be up in Charlotte in September, and for the countdown race, I believe that is that the first countdown race or second? I think it's the second.
I think it's the second.
Yeah, it is the second because I think Maple Grove is after the U.S. Nationals. So it's Maple Grove and then Charlotte. So, yeah, hopefully I'll make it up there and bump into y'all guys and hang out with y'all in the media center, which is a beautiful,
fantastic
media center right behind all four lanes. Just wonderful.
It's the Bellagio. It's the Bellagio.
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you.
But Taylor, thank you again, and thank you for all the things that you do behind the scenes. You've done some work with Flow Racing as well, and we hope that your adventure keeps on going strong.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Taylor. You have a wonderful night.
Thanks, you guys too.
All right,
take care.
Bye.
I'll tell you what a great interview, what a great person she is, and all of her hard work that she does, but for NASCAR all the way down to those young men running legends, just some really great coverage. And I can't wait to see what they come up with IndyCar and Formula One. That's going to be really great to cover. And I'm sorry, I love drag racing 100%, but I also like to watch other forms of racing as well.
Oh, I completely agree. And I mean, I know we went off topic a couple times talking about different things. And that's the fun of having an interview with somebody with a very interesting background that brings a different perspective about what we enjoy. But the bottom line is we enjoy racing. We enjoy racing, and it doesn't matter what shape or form it might take. And yes, I understand what you're saying. I mean, we primarily talk about drag racing because that's what we're involved with. But yes, you see, I'm glad to hear y'all talk about the modern NASCAR. Now, when I was brought up, I liked obviously NASCAR then. I mean, different era, and everybody can argue the different eras and all this stuff like that, and everybody's right. And but the fact that there still the competition is there, the drive and the desire to be the best at what you're doing and to beat that fellow competitor under a given set of rules. That's the deal. And so
I tell you, I was a big follower of NASCAR. You know, one of my drivers that I really enjoyed the most watching was Greg Biffle because of his quick rise to fame of racing out the West Series of ARCA and moving into the Truck Series and then going into the Xfinity Series and then Cup, which it wasn't the Xfinity Series back then.
Right.
But you know, just watching the progress that he went through to make it to the Cup Series, and today I still follow Greg Biffle on social media, especially after you know all the devastation from the hurricanes a year ago, and him using his helicopter to take supplies to people. It just shows his character and how he cares about people.
Agreed.
But yeah, just a totally great person. And you've been to my room. You've seen all the Greg Biffle diecast cards and the autographed photos and stuff of Greg Biffle around the place. And, you know, big fan. I mean, I even have a rear quarter panel leaned against the wall over here.
Yeah. I tell you, your man cave is pretty good. I mean, the view right there does not give credit.
Not as good as Taylor's, though. Hers is a whole lot better.
No, it is. It's a whole lot better.
I'm going to have to get a hold of her later and find out, get all the information of the guy who built her display cases because I may have to buy some.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what she's showing there is there on display. I mean, for goodness sakes, the gentleman that made the display case, that's beautiful. So that alone, I mean, anybody who is a collector, and it doesn't have to only be NASCAR, but it could be other things, and they like a display. That was a beautiful display cabinet. So you can possibly reach out to Taylor about that. But I tell you, it's really good talking to a content creator like Taylor, and the way that she carries herself and mannerism,
And
very
enthusiasm as well.
enthusiasm, very professional, and just loves the sport. Okay, and I'm like going, yeah, that's great. I mean, I don't care who you are. That's really what you want to see and what you want to hear. So I personally, and I know you did too, I've learned a lot from her just from this interview on different things, and which we'll work on for future. But I think it's really great. It's refreshing to hear that, and to hear her say to put the time in before, you know what I mean, and then reaping the benefits of that hard work. That a lot of people nowadays don't realize that. You and I get approached at times at different events, and they think that we're rolling in Cadillacs and all this kind of stuff, and it is not true. You know what I mean? Mitchell and I are working Joes, and we work every day long and hard, take care of our families. And what we do here at On the Spot Motorsports Media is we have fun. We have fun and we enjoy doing what we're doing and talking to interesting people like Taylor and people out there listening and to converse with them. And at times people reach out to us, hey, ask this question. Hey, ask that question. And so we do, because they find it interesting.
And we're going to do it again Thursday night.
Oh, that's right. It is Tuesday, isn't it?
Yeah, this is Tuesday, so we got another podcast Thursday. So really looking forward to that.
I've been losing track because I'm working so much, and I know you are too. You got a lot of stuff going on, and I got stuff apart. We're trying to get ready to go to Bowling Green in 2 weeks for the Tri-Fi Nationals, and taking the family and hot stuff, going up there and trying to run in junior stock. The car's never been down the track, and blah blah.
Yeah, we're going to have Mr. Crossno from PDRA. Coming on, and we're going to talk a little bit about that sanctioned body and some of the stars and how the season looks like it's going to wind up. They don't run as many races as NHRA, but those drivers are just as competitive. And
my goodness,
we're really glad to be able
it's an exciting racing. It's 8th mile. It's exciting racing. Everything is heads up. Okay, and then you have your Pro Nitrous, you have your Pro Boost, and other classes involved there too. So it's like it has a chance to showcase that particular power adder in an equal format, and you get all kinds of vehicles, both late models to early models, and I tell you what, that's what really makes it exciting to me is the variety and some of the people. Ooh, some of the people.
Again, I want to thank everybody for watching tonight. And again, go check out Above the Yellow Line. Really great content, and you will really enjoy it.
Exactly. And we want everybody to continue, if you haven't yet, to subscribe to our YouTube channel, to follow us on Instagram, also Facebook, and also Spotify. This interview will be put up on Spotify in about a couple days. So they'll be able to go back and re-listen to it under a different format if you need be. And like I said, we encourage everybody to do that. We appreciate it, and everybody's help, that does help us.
Well, until Thursday night, everyone take care, and we'll see you then.
Have a good night, everybody.
Drive thousands of miles. Confidence for those who fly high. Redline oil products give you the power to crush the competition. And a track record of being the best. Redline oil products. You push it to the limit, we'll protect it.
Ready to take your engine to the next level? Scorpion Racing Products delivers precision-engineered, high-performance rocker arms that dominate the track. 100% CNC machined in the USA with aerospace-grade aluminum for unmatched strength and durability. Our rocker arms handle extreme conditions with multiple ratios available to fit your needs. Backed by our exclusive lifetime warranty. When performance matters, choose Scorpion Racing Products. Proven, reliable, unstoppable.